Hi, welcome to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy. Yay! Thank you for that. And now, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's dive right in. This is something that you've already seen on my channel, but I wanted to give a more detailed examination of this than what was offered to you before. Last time I showed this, I merely opened the tray, took a look, and oh, yeah, there you go. And then off I went. So let's take a closer view of this. It's worthy of further consideration. It's an excellent item brought to you by Hasbro in 2004 when they began their 40th anniversary collection, which I thought was excellent. I loved the packaging. I loved what they had to offer. And I had a lot of gaps in my collection because, as I mentioned previously, my mom was really against war toys. So something like this would have been taboo in her mind. And my dad was okay with it. Oddly enough, my dad was a conscientious cashew nut. My father was a cashew nut. No, my father was a conscientious objector during World War II. And his application for that status had been rejected. So my father then decided to become a medic. And he went through the training to become a medic. However, a few days prior to his shipping out for, I believe, Africa or Sicily, one of those, he was, I don't know, reassigned to audit contracts. My father had trained to be a CPA in college, or rather an accountant, and so they had him auditing contracts for the government, for the U.S. Army, and that's what he did during the war. The reason for his objection is to serving was my father was devoutly Christian, and also my mom's family, some of my mom's family was still in Germany, although I don't even think they knew them. They just knew that they were there. However, my dad did end up serving like millions of other men, and some of them had to do things that bothered them quite a bit after the war, and they never got treatment for that. I think I told you about Mr. Collins, who lived across the street, and he had a German helmet in his garage. And I asked him if he ever killed anyone. He said, well, are you asking if I was in combat? And I said, yes. And he said, well, if I didn't kill them in combat, then I must be a murderer. Anyway, he was deeply affected by his experiences during. His experience was mostly the Battle of the Bulge. So before I get too distracted with things like that, let's take a look at the Footlocker. I'll flip it down. I still have things from my last video sitting on the counter here. I got too lazy to put it away. I'll have to get into that. Here we have this. You can actually buy these stickers online. I wouldn't mind having a T-shirt with this on it. I used to have one, but I was always too embarrassed to wear it. I don't know why. I was very almost ashamed of the fact that I collected toys, and I had a real hard time coming out of the toy box. Some people just never had that problem. I was very embarrassed about it until I was at a Target and a woman from work was there with her son, and she says, why are you buying these Star Trek toys? You don't have kids. And I finally I said, okay, I admit it, I collect toys. And instead of her laughing at me, she said, oh, that's cool. And I'm like, why did I make such a big deal out of it? Anyway, if I had this t-shirt now, I would definitely wear it because I'm not shy about that any longer. Okay, let's take a look inside. And here's that famous illustration that is affixed to the interior of the lid. And you can see here, it gives you a lovely guide into what you are to put in the tray, which you can see here. Now, my original locker, this dried out. It's like rubber cement attached it to this, and it dried out and fell off, and it got torn, and I eventually threw it out. Now, I was lucky to find a copy of this online, and I was able to affix it to the lid of my original locker so that that's not missing any longer. The tray, my tray on my original is a little darker, and it has sort of what looks like a wood grain pattern. And I noticed that this one does not have that feature. Okay. Now, all of this looks great in the tray. However, if I were to close this and pick it up, everything you see here would fall out. So I had given some consideration to possibly super gluing all these things into the tray so that when you picked it up, it would still stay in there. But then I thought, no, this equipment is too cool to not be able to use it. It's hard to get helmets. I did a video on that some time ago that you could buy the copies of these and the Marine helmet, and also the MP helmet, the medic helmet, and the naval attack helmet at Cotswold Collectibles. And I did a video about that. One of the things that is an issue with these mess kits is that they frequently open up and the fork and spoon and knife disappear, or they get one of the, what do they call it, a tang on a fork? No, wait, tang is orange juice. A, a a female tang, I don't know. So this breaks off, and where's my, there, this will break off, and it's very easy to lose the rest of the things. Now, this is very similar to the original. However, with mine original, the shovel is a little different. I don't know if I'll be able to show this to you. I'll try. Yeah, this is slightly different. Now, on my original shovel, I think this was a brass color, and you would fold this up and then push this ring down over it so that it would keep it in place. And I noticed that this does not appear to have that function. Okay, now I have seen these M1 carbines with this part here painted in this silver color. The straps on the originals were a tan elastic. I notice on this bayonet, if I can get this, hey, look, Iggy has age spots. Where's that, a map? That might be a map of the Hawaiian Islands. I don't know. It has a date on it. It says something. Let's take a look at what it says, guys. What does that say? It possibly has a date on it so that you can distinguish between this and original, because I'm sure there's unscrupulous. No, there can't be unscrupulous people, can there? Who would try and sell 40th anniversary items as original items. So let's check, see if there's anything that would indicate that this also has a marking on it, which is interesting. I can't see what it says, though. I'm going to assume it says either G.I. Joe or it says 2004, and it's a marking perhaps that they put on it to, like I said, distinguish it from vintage, original vintage. That's interesting. Now, here is an error that they had an opportunity to address and they never did. You see here on this original, this facsimile of an original label, that the field telephone is in green with green spots, and the one that was provided is tan with black spots. Let's take a look at the fatigue cap. This is the kind of cap that they would have worn in the 1950s. And I think even up until the early 1960s. And it does have some marking here. Let's see. Yeah, the focus turns off. It says 2003, it looks like. There we go. Hasbro, 2003. So I don't know what you guys think of my idea to glue these into place, but I decided against doing it because, I don't have that many of these kinds of things. So I wouldn't want to lose the use of them. Like if you wanted to set up a diorama or something, then look at all this equipment you wouldn't be able to use. Okay, now this is something I thought was really cool. I do have a reproduction poncho that they put out with a previous locker, which was not as good as this one, by the way. And I don't know if it was like the 30th anniversary or something like that, but it was a Target exclusive. And it came with a poncho, but it was just like a fabric, whereas this one is actually rubberized. You see that? The interior of the poncho? So it's actually waterproof, which I thought, well, I guess they call that vulcanized rubber or something. Anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. And here we have a marine tent for all intents and purposes. Now is a tense moment. There we go. And then I think this is an army tent. Yes. I like that these are all folded up so neatly. I wouldn't be able to do that myself. And so when I open it up, now I don't know if I had this flag set originally back when I was a kid, but I cannot recall if it was printed only on one side. Like, for instance, this one is featuring, what is this, the Air Force? And then on the reverse side, you can see it's unprinted. So I'm guessing that's a cost savings measure that that Hasbro was employing. And here's the Navy flag. United States Navy. Here's the Marine Corps. And many Marines will have these on display in their garage or their man cave or somewhere on their property. They'll have one of these flags. They are very proud of their Marine Corps service, and justifiably so. Now, I was going to join the Marines. No, I wasn't. I never was going to join the Marines. I joined the Army because I didn't think I'd get through the Army, let alone the Marines. But I did get through it. They almost threw me out. They had me sitting at the desk with the paperwork all filled out, and they said, all you have to do is sign this, and we can send you home. And I said, no. I said, if I fail at this, and I failed at everything else in my life, I will never get over it. I need to pursue this to an honorable conclusion. And I was very emphatic about it. And then they kept trying to talk me out of it. And I said, no, I am going to succeed. And it's unfortunate that I did not have that attitude about more things in my life, because I really did succeed because I was so determined that I was not going to fail. Whereas other things in my life, I was like, oh, well, I failed. It's no big deal. I wasn't accepting that with my military service. I didn't want to tell people, well, I joined the Army, but they kicked me out because I was weak. Yeah, that's something I want to tell people the rest of my life. No thanks. However, I wish that my marriage, I've been married twice. Both of them failed. One, uh, the I don't want to say anything about them because that would be extremely unfair. There's two sides to every story. I think it's for the best that we are no longer married, but they had reasons too to not wish to be with me, and I think they're justified. Although my reasons are also justified, so what are you going to say? You'd have to sit us both down and let us talk away. I'm sure if I sat down with them and they started saying, well, he this and he that, I would get defensive and start saying, well, yeah, well, you did this and you did that. That's probably typical of any couple breakup, which is unfortunate because you did like each other at one time. Now, I noticed on this 30 caliber machine gun, there's this number that I saw printed out on the bayonet and the 45, and there's that number again. Can you see it? It says it looks like 4001. I'm not sure. This is pretty cool though, guys. I was glad that when we went to on alert, or we're going to go out for training, that I didn't have to carry the 50 cal. A lot of times I would carry the tripod, but one of the other guys would carry this, and one guy would carry the barrel. I don't think we had a tripod now that I think about it. I think I carried the barrel, which was easier than this. This was pretty heavy. So was the barrel, for that matter. But we were carrying a 50 caliber machine gun, not the 30. And it would be mounted on our tank. We would get them at the armorer's cage in our barracks and march out to the field. We'd also have to, if we were going for training, have to get the firing pin to the main gun of our tank, because they kept those locked up in an old ammunition box with a lock and a key. And there's this guy in not my company, but he was in our battalion. He's in another company, and his wife was screwing around on him, and he knew who was doing it. And we were loading tanks onto a train because they would ship our tanks down to Grafenwehr or Hohenfels by train, which would take forever. They used to say that shit would travel faster on the rails than we did. The reason they said that because every time another train was coming, we were required to pull aside and let the other train go have priority. So anyway, we were loading trains, and that was kind of thrilling for a driver. I was a driver, and you had to drive on this small ramp up, and then over onto the flatbed of the train. So it was challenging. But anyway, this guy found out about his wife cheating with this other guy. I'm assuming they were both NCOs, because that's, I think, who got the firing pin, but I'm not sure on that point. Could have been the gunner, but I don't know. Anyway, he got a hold of the firing pin and he put it in the gun. He loaded it, and the guy was in the cupola of the tank in front of him. And I mean, you're talking point blank range. He fired the gun and killed the guy that was messing around with his wife. So that caused a small buzz around around Erzkazern back in Germany. By the way, where I was stationed in Germany doesn't even exist anymore. It was demolished, and they built apartment buildings there. So it's like I was never there. Okay, let's move on because I'm taking a little bit too much time here. So we got these nets. Now, nuts. We have nets. I gotta scratch my nets. Sorry, guys. Have itchy nets. What I plan to do with this is I have a Forward Observer G.I. Joe. It's one of my favorite G.I. Joes that were post-classic era. And I'm going to set up a net and some sandbags and put a machine gun and radios, and set up this with ammo box and maybe put some grenades out. What was fun about the old G.I. Joes is that they all came with a little baggie full of hand grenades. And what was cool is you could rest the hand grenade in G.I. Joe's hand, and then if you hit underneath his arm would flip up like this and the grenade would actually go. And that was always fun to do. And here's some of the camouflage foliage that you could put in your net. I used to know a girl named Annette. Gosh, she was pretty. Probably the prettiest girl that I ever went out with. There's a girl at where I work now that kind of looks like her. She's not as pretty as Annette, but she's pretty dang close. And I've been very, very careful not to make a fool out of myself, because I've done that. That seems to be the only thing I do these last, let's see, how long have I been separated or divorced? 27 years, 28 years, something like that. Anyway, I have to be very careful because I do and say stupid things. Gets me in trouble. This is a helmet net. And one of the issues I had with these helmet nets is you would put it on and it would pop off. Wait, what did I do? Oh, here it is. It would slide off. Looks like a hair net that a chef has. Oh, I didn't notice that. This one is... Look at that, guys. I never noticed that before. I thought they were all the same. Here's a thing of foliage, and notice that this is different from this. This one has red fern branches or something in it, and this one does not. I never noticed that before. This one has a white one. Does this have a white one? And this one does not. Well, there you go, guys. Right here on live television, Iggy finds out that they're not all the same. Here's the tent pegs for putting up your tents. More hand grenades. Here's some more foliage. Oh, look at that. It's different again. Notice that this is rather a large fern in red, and this one is not. Well, I love it when I learn new things that I didn't know before. Okay, guys. Oh, look at that. These are fatigue caps that are made of cloth. Now, the original G.I. Joes they were going to come out with for the 40th anniversary, they issued them with these cloth caps because the original G.I. Joe, the vintage 64 G.I. Joe, uh, the prototypes had cloth caps like this, but you can imagine the cost in manufacturing these. So that's pretty cool that they have these, that they did a salute to that and provided these with the box G.I. Joes. We have some dog tags here. And someone told me that this little notch here is so that they could stick this between your teeth and then knock it in with a rifle or kick it in so that it sticks with your teeth. And that would be, of course, for guys who bought the farm, so to speak. And I remember I was telling you about the mess kit, how it falls apart. Well, there you go. And there's the fork. And I imagine you guys are sick of this, and they're like, well, fork you, Iggy. And they also made a flamethrower for the Marines, and wait a minute, this is a Marine flamethrower. It did not come with camo on it. The Army did not issue, well, the Hasbro never issued it. Never mind. I think you know what I'm trying to say. I hope. Okay, that's it for this Footlocker. Now we're going to demonstrate why I thought I should glue this in here. Okay? So we'll put the tray back in. Very good. Tray be in. And then we'll put this over here. Snap it shut. And then let's say you're going over to your friend. I'll go over to Steve's house. He's the only kid that I played G.I. Joes with. The other kids were already grown out of it. So you pick this up and you go, oh, I'm walking over to Steve's house. Da, 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 da. So I get over there and I put this down and I open it up. And as you can see, a few things stayed where they were supposed to be, but quite a bit of it is in disarray. Okay, guys, that's it for G.I. Joe 40th Anniversary Footlocker. This was available at Target and was an exclusive to Target. And of course, it came with a coffin-boxed army soldier. And if you were to get something during that time, this would be one of the things to get because you would get all the equipment. All right, that's it, guys. I want to thank you for coming along and getting Iggy with it. I always appreciate when you guys come to visit me. I've showed you this before, not as detailed before, but I have showed this to you before. I've got like 4 or 5, 6. I think I have 6 Footlockers. I'm not positive. I have some of those 30th anniversary ones that do not have the lip like the originals. I have my original, and then I think I have 4 of these. So I'm not sure how many I have. But at any rate, that's it for me this time. Let's go over to Roy Rogers Ranch. We'll say hello to Dale, and we'll say hello to Bullet and Trigger and Buttercup. And, I'm kind of hankering for some barbecue. I'd like sausage. My brother said that if I could survive on one food, it would be hot dogs or sausages. It's probably true. At any rate, thanks for coming along, guys, and I'll be seeing you soon. I apologize again for showing you these things, but I'm going to have to be doing this until I can get my Christmas video going for you. Okay, guys, that's it. Take care of each other and take care of yourselves, and make sure you take out your collections, dust them off, and start growing them.